Okay, so Diamond Is Unbreakable is, great. It's great.
It was great over a year and a half ago when it came out.
We've been wanting more content like that and at that level. So since we can't get more JoJo, we're just gonna keep mining this.
Yeah. So one thing we never talked about was how important Hirose Koichi is
The nose.
to JoJo.
Yeah.
But we're gonna make ourselves do it because he is important.
He's very important. We made fun of him a lot when the series started.
I mean, he's the C-3PO of the series.
He's visually I remember us retching when we saw oh god.
Well, it's like
why do they draw him like that?
In contrast to drawing JoJo and every other character as a giant adult muscle bound man.
Very charismatic.
They draw this stupid little boy.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess.
Who's got a duck bill for a nose.
Yeah, he's supposed to doing it on purpose, and the most exciting thing about that series is how important he ends up being. And I'm not just talking about how he's a reliable guy, because we know that he's a reliable guy, obviously. The interesting thing about Koichi is he sets the hand, he gets you ready and primed for pretty much everything else that's going to happen in the season. And
he ends up being kind of your point of reference or straight man character in the same way that Shinpachi and Gintama, which we reviewed, is, or C-3PO is. He's not doing anything in the story, but he's really giving you a window into seeing how a lot of the world works.
Yeah,
and that's what Koichi does for us. I mean, that's why in the live action movie, even in the first 13 minutes, you can tell
with him.
That movie starts with him and his perspective going into this world of stands because it gives you access.
Right. And more than anything, it sort of pulls a new concept for this season, which is the idea that stands are evolving and changing. Now, we kind of
And they can belong to dweebs.
Yes, they can. You don't have to have a shoulder ratio of a certain... You can do it. So they're not as special as you think. And the exciting part with them changing and all is that's what Kira does. That's the whole thing about Kira. Now, at the end of Diamond Is Unbreakable, spoilers obviously, Kira does time superpowers and winds the clock.
His stand evolves, which would have been really jumping the shark if we hadn't spent the entire series watching, basically the main character's best friend
do the same thing.
I mean, you see
his egg form first, and I mean, really, Koichi is baby steps to the concept that stands can evolve. You have the egg and larva, and then Act 1. Okay, so there's going to be Act 2 and 3. Obviously, it's it leads you into it, and he's just visually too. I mean, we got to talk about that. They do draw him better on purpose at certain times.
Yeah, they changed the way that Koichi's hair and face is drawn.
They give him a regular nose.
As they go. In and off, sometimes he has a bill, sometimes he has no nose, sometimes he has a normal nose.
Yeah,
it's kind of reminiscent to, I know we pointed out with Polnareff how, his hair, starts one way and then kind of, but it quickly turns another.
I was going to say Iggy, how they, draw his face more and more human as he gains humanity. But Koichi is this changing thing, because, I'm sure Akuraya was having trouble. Araki, you guys comment on that. Araki was having trouble drawing someone that wasn't a charismatic, Fist of the North Star lookalike, so he's
it's true.
How do I make him dumb? So the shifting quality of Koichi and his visual change.
Yeah, and it gives variety too. Koichi's going to fight enemies or encounter enemies in different ways than a 6 foot tall, 280 pound man boy is going to. Koichi gives us a character that can be afraid, that can be empathetic to characters, that can find different solutions from his stand. Very much typifies that too. He doesn't have a stand that can go toe to toe fisticuffs with other stands. His stand has to be strategic, but it's interesting because Koichi himself isn't a very strategic character, so his stand kind of operates in this kind of very plot-driven kind of
especially
area.
The powers, him getting the sound powers, and then him evolving into it feels very. Oh, I guess Araki just made this up to work with this chapter,
which works really well with it staying JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Him coming up with things you would never guess that how something would work is perfect.
And more than that, it also starts to explain the relation with stress to stands. And before this is kind of thought about like, oh, if you're really extreme, like you have a stand basically because you got a focused mind. You know, even in Stardust Crusaders, you know, Muhammad Abdul and other characters just have a stand because they're extra.
Yeah, they're intense people.
Exactly. So then you assume, oh, it's like a special gift, but then Pontiff explains he's being trained. So the thing about Koichi is his powers are incredibly specific to the stressful situation he's in. He evolves completely and directly to a stressful situation, which is unlike any other stand.
Yeah, and it gives you the sense through the series because of that. You know, by the time we get to like 3 frees and him stopping,
that is literally just to do that.
Of Kira's stand, like really sets us up for we don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it puts you at the edge of your seat in the sense that like when even somebody like as veteran as Jotaro is fighting someone, it's like, could Jotaro's stand change? Like, I mean, you see a little bit of that at the end of Stardust Crusaders. You know, he gains time stop as an ability. That's not something his stand had at the beginning.
Exactly. It kind of talks about how that he might have had that.
Right, but like I'm saying, like you get to that point. Seeing the full structure of a stand. I mean, so you end up seeing that with Kira's stance.
Kira is exactly.
So it you know has like a phase 1 where it's got like the little tortoiseshell thing, and you can see that that's adapted from like its basic power of touching things, making them explode.
Yeah. Because he wanted to be far away from people because he's stressed.
And then that develops into bites the dust.
Yeah.
And I would say even that like kind of goes another level with him putting the bomb cat like in his stomach. Like it's like, oh yeah, stands are these malleable, changing,
right. And the idea
adapting things.
Yeah, the idea that characters can change is something that's been, I'm sure, explored in lots of series. But it's really exciting to see basically Araki's superpower sort of meshing and evolving. I mean, because that was really the only sort of like foundation Araki had. Like, he's like, no, I'm going to make up stands now. And yeah, there are rules for them. Technically, people break the rules, but that's what made his last season work. But then with this season, it's like, no, like I'm even going to mess with that, guys. I don't care.
And the thing is that creates that new narrative structure where one of the hugest like criticisms, or not criticisms, but observations I had about Stardust Crusaders was it's every week we meet a new person with a new stand and we have to like beat them.
Yeah.
This changes the series where we can have, you know, characters last more than one episode.
Exactly.
Which changes the game of like the shonen story.
And when I remember when Kira like took the face, like you just walk into that scene and he switches it. I was so just check. I was like, that's what he did. Like I wasn't at all, you know, that feeling when we're watching a show and like, really show? Really? Like I was so ready. And then when the arrow went in his arm, I mean, it's just Koichi is what makes Diamond Is Unbreakable. It's so solid because you get that perfect foundation, and Araki knew that when he was writing. He's like, okay, this one's even going to be even crazier. There's ghost dads, there's, you know, like shifting powers, cat stands, so like, it's really just, you need somebody to be there with you, and he's like, I know it's not going to be, you know, Josuke, so like,
and like it helps him explore like a secondary character who I will add did not die in the series too. You know, we didn't have a
very close
Zapelli incident.
Let's be real with that. His entire body was caved in, but he's fine. He's a good boy.
He's a reliable guy.
Yeah, and like let's not forget that what is it on the paper episode? When they come out of the paper, they finally draw Koichi like all badass. Like that shit it's great. They let him evolve and move around, and he's got the most relatability. So you feel like you're in there with him, and you feel like anybody can have a stand.
Exactly.